something that the private sector can do. In the past, we've always looked at this as public sector, but part of the innovations is really coming in and supporting private sector to do more, and there is scope for that to happen. So let me close again by stressing the partnerships between, of course, the public and the private philanthropies, but importantly, the partnerships between the MDBs. And we're working closely with the AFDB in Mission 300, and we'll look forward to doing some more to make sure that we can seize the opportunity of market integration to achieve the bold ambition of Mission 300. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria.
Thank you.
Being an electrical engineer, I can actually see electrons flowing from Ethiopia to Kenya through the Kenya-Ethiopia interconnector, to Tanzania through the Kenya-Tanzania interconnector, from Tanzania to Zambia through the Zambia-Tanzania interconnector, and to the Southern African power pool. I think this is what we are. This is the essence of the Africa Continental Power Master Plan, and I think the infrastructure is going to be in place and result in actual trade throughout the continent. So I think finally, Mr. Francesco La Camera, who is the Director General of the International Renewable Energy Agency, I have one question for you. How can frameworks like the Africa Continental Master Plan and the Africa Single Electricity Market act as catalysts for achieving the goals of Mission 300, and how is IRENA supporting these efforts?
So thank you, Kevin, for your question, and also for having IRENA here in Dar es Salaam. You know that first of all, I like to commend the African Development Bank, the World Bank, for the 300 million initiative, and try to put the contribution of IRENA in the context that I'm presenting briefly. So first of all, we have to understand why Africa has been kept out in some way from the energy transition and the strong development of renewables around the world. We know that really a minimum part of investment in renewables has been made in the continent that has potential to provide 1,000 times the electricity Africa. the 300 million initiative is fitting well, and what we are doing. So the fact that IRENA has been proud partners of the building of the Continental Master Plan, we have provided with the atomic energy, the modeling for that. I think this is a very significant step in this direction, as has been important in our point of view. Without NEPAD, all the training activity they are performing to make the institution able to manage what is coming and sort of to be leading on that. So this, we think, is important, the Mission 300, because it's fitting exactly in this context that we wish to guide. And what IRENA can do more on that. You know that following the Africa Summit in Nairobi in September 2023, we have launched the Accelerated Partnership for Africa. That is working well. We have, under the leadership of Germany, Denmark, the UAE and the US, and the leadership of 11 countries that today are part of APRA, and we will be 15 before the summer. I think this could be try to connect with the compact exercise, because we have seen in our investing forum in Nairobi how this is working well. Now we have pipeline of projects. We are trying to make this project to be bankable. So there is a kind of a good line of work. And we also put in this our ETAF, our financial platform that has now 14 partners, including Africa 50, including the World Bank, including with the IFC and MIGA. I think this could be another instrument. So please present project to ARENA. We will try to work with you to assess, prepare the document for the bankability, assess the bankability, and going forward. And just to say them, in closing, how good has been the APRA initiative, that we are trying to showcase that. So we have launched with, in Azerbaijan, in Baku, an initiative, similar initiative for Central Asia. We will launch at the end of this year another initiative for Southeast Asia, but trying to remain to Africa. So, first, infrastructure, crucial role of the multilateral financial institutions, and all are we ready to work together for making this initiative to be a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I think we are coming to the end of the panel session, but I'll still ask just one generic question for all of you, and in particular for Victoria and Joseph and maybe Kamugisha, because we are partners in the Mission 300. So if you look at your crystal ball and envision this Africa Continental Power Master Plan has been developed, fully developed, and throughout the NEPAD and other partners, we have been able to build this infrastructure that facilitates this market trade. What is your vision, especially with regard to Mission 300? Let's start with you, Joseph, then Victoria, and then to come to you. 1 minute each, please.
Thank you, Kevin, and it's a very interesting question. I will answer it by quoting the Minister of Power from Nigeria, who in a panel somewhere in Barcelona said, if Kenya's peak demand is 4 hours ahead of Nigeria, and we each have 4 hours of peak demand, why are we both building peaking plants? Why can't we leverage each other's infrastructure to finance, to actually use the power more efficiently? That can only happen if you have a continental master plan and you have the infrastructure such that the peaking plants in Nairobi are available when Nigeria needs them. So my vision is we have the infrastructure, physical, in existence, and I'm delighted that we're now moving towards private sector investment in this infrastructure, but also the trading mechanism to optimize for every country's needs so that we get the cheapest electron, we maximize the capital asset utilization towards a more competitive electricity market. Our continent will only develop if we have affordable power, and this is one key part of that.
Thank you. Victoria?
Thank you. Look, I mean, first of all, if it's been achieved, that's super exciting, and it makes everything much easier. What I would like to see is essentially a point that the minister from Nigeria raised this morning, that he's trading and not getting paid. You know, so how do we make sure that there are good rules of the game that encourage countries to trade? And nobody's saying, well, I can't get paid if I put my para out and I give it. And you have a situation where sometimes countries can be exporters, sometimes they can be importers, you know, depending on what their countries are going through, climate factors and so on. And so everybody benefits. And together we're pulling the continent forward, we're providing the access to individual households, and we're also powering our economies to pull this continent out of poverty and into prosperity.
Thank you very much, Victoria. I think Amin, very quickly, and finally Kazaura.
Thank you very much, VP Kevin. For ODANEP, first I would like to re-emphasize that we consider M300 as a step toward the achievement of the objectives of the CMP AFSEM, multiplied by 5 our power generation capacity and ensure universal access by 2040, while complying with our commitment toward just and equitable transition. That's number one. Number two, of course, as an organization, we are going to continue to contribute to it by making sure that our member states have really the capacity, and that's the reason why, and it was reminded by the DG of IRENA, why we are also investing very much into early project preparation, because early project preparation is the best tool, instrument to make sure that we de-risk projects so that we can actually really go toward that. And then thirdly, our vision, of course, is to make sure that those who can produce the cheapest and in a stable manner would actually contribute to give access to those who cannot produce. That's the reason why we are promoting AFSEM. So all in all, for us, M300 is a step, and a strong, solid step toward the realization of CMP AFSEM by 2040. Thank you.
Thank you, Kazaura, but also address Agenda 63, how this mission 300 fits into your Agenda 63, and we'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I can think two quick things. One, what we envisage in 2040, once the AFSEM, CMP, the M300, and all the other continental initiatives are in place, that first thing, that we'll have electricity tariffs which are affordable throughout the continent, not the mismatch of tariffs we have, you know, if you go to south, north, east, or west of the continent, or central. The second aspect is we will have increased generation of renewables in our energy mix, and further, the continent further continues to be the lowest contributor to greenhouse gases emission in the world. So these are the two aspects which I can quickly envisage to see will happen in the next 15 years once we have AFSEM, CMP, M300, and all the other initiatives we have fully operational. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you'll all agree that we've had a very invigorating and insightful panel. Please join me in giving them a very hearty round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's do the exact same for Dr. Kevin Kariuki for an excellent job of moderating. Thank you very much, sir. Might I invite all of you for a photo opportunity, if I can invite you just to step forward, and the official photographers to please come and facilitate the photo opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, if I might have your attention while that photo opportunity is underway, to explain the final part of our program for this afternoon. We are now going to transition into a short series of really brisk and really concise conversations. We're going to be calling up onto the stage the moderator and their panelists, in most instances 2 or 3 panelists at the very most. And the view here is to really shine the spotlight on some of the challenges and opportunities in the sector. Before I call up our first of these sessions, let's please give our panel a final round of applause as they descend stage. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Madam, thank you very much. Standing by now, ladies and gentlemen, to speak to the question of off-grid and the productive use of energy, it's my pleasure to invite in the role of moderator Manoj Sinha, the co-founder and CEO of Husk Power Systems. And as Manoj comes up, thank you Manoj, please let me also call on Clemens Kellis, the CEO of Signum Capital, as well as Matthias Charles Yabe, the CEO of AcoFresh. Let's give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you very much.
Just so you know, I'm taking my CEO place, William Brent is on me, just so you know.
And you're taking this? Oh, William Brent. Okay. Just a quick, a small deviation. William Brandt is standing in for his CEO, Manoj Sinha, and will therefore take on the role of moderating this session. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, inviting you to lean in to engage. These sessions are going to be fast-paced and short, and so we're looking forward to your attention and your participation. Over to you, William.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. As mentioned, this is going to hopefully be a fast-paced discussion. I am not going to stand at the podium, but sit here with the other panelists. We have an interesting mix of people here. We have a very early-stage company working in Ghana and looking to expand into additional countries in Africa, doing cold storage and e-mobility. AcoFresh, and we also have one of the leading debt providers in our space, Signum Capital, Clemens Kalice, as mentioned, and I'm William Brent, the Chief Marketing Officer at Husk Power. We're a growth stage mini-grid developer, so it's a little bit of an interesting combination on both on the practitioner side, but also on the finance side. So I think I'd like to kick off this conversation. You know, there's been a lot of discussion around productive use, so-called productive use, but I think that it's a very amorphous term that people often interpret in very different ways. So thought I'd begin by asking Matthias and Clemens, you know, sort of how you define productive use. What is productive use to you?
Hi. So for me, I think productive use of energy has to do with making use of different energy sources to ensure that it creates economic value, in that it's able to help create job opportunities and then improve livelihoods of people.
Comments?
Okay, so I struggle with this term as much as probably many of you, and in some way as a provider of capital, to me that term doesn't really capture what the essence is of what we're trying to do. I mean, ultimately, we're in the business of supporting new companies in developing and implementing new business models, and as providers of credit, i.e. lenders, we need to make sure that the money comes back to our investors with a certain return. Now, ultimately, in the broader DRE space that we're looking at, what we're looking is businesses that deliver ultimately green electrons and use those for different purposes, some of which maybe what traditionally is defined as productive use, which could be solar pumps and other machinery. But in the end, what we are looking for is business models that can catalyze the use of electricity. And we're not so much hung up about whether it's called productive use or not. We want to see businesses that grow, and with that growth, the electricity consumption will ultimately go up, which is what drives businesses, their performance, their profitability, and ultimately allows us to earn a return.
Yeah, it's interesting because, as a mini-grid developer, everything we do is we would consider productive use, right? We are electrifying communities. We're doing appliance sales and credit financing to allow for both households and commercial users to actually take advantage of the electricity for productive purposes, but we wouldn't call it productive use. It's just part of our business. It's a utility business model with services added on. that allow for greater economic activity, job creation, business creation. So, you know, for us, when that term became more current in the discussion, you know, we looked at it and said, well, this is what we've been doing for 16 years. So it's a little bit of a difficult concept for a mini-grid developer to get their head around, just because it's built into what we do from the very beginning. So we're a utility. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe to put this in context of how, as a financier, we approach this. I mean, Matthias, William and I sat down beforehand and discussed a little bit about this very topic, and I was trying to learn about Matthias's business. He's a social enterprise that provides cold storage for farmers in rural locations that don't have access to cold storage, right? So clearly that's a productive use conversation, but my questions to him revolve around other topics. So I go and ask him, okay, Matthias, how long have you been in business, and how are you growing your business? What is it that's required to roll out your solution? So Matthias, maybe you can repeat a little bit what you do and what it takes to scale this business.
Right. So at AkuFresh, we are a social enterprise, youth-led, that is based in Ghana. And then our goal is to ensure that we are providing renewable energy solutions to help smallholder farmers improve their livelihoods and also ensure post-harvest management. And because currently about a third of all food produced every year is lost, and just in Africa, 40% of food produced do not get to consumers. And these are as a result of lack of technology and even energy at this local level. So by offering solar-powered cold storage preservation units, we are ensuring that farmers extend shelf life of crops from 5 days to 21 days. And we are doing this at the farm gate. So we offer a decentralized solar-powered